Hey guys, now that the Druid is live, one of the most common questions that I've been getting asked is it possible to AFK farm on Druid? At this point, I think that this question feels more common to hear than what's the best DPS build, or maybe even what's the best PvP build. Last month, I actually covered the topic of AFK farming on Necro, and that was a pretty spicy video, and I think that many of my viewers were divided, and a bunch of content creators actually reacted to that video, and also threw their hat in the ring and gave their opinion. And what I definitely noticed covering that topic is that everybody seems to have a different argument for or against AFK farming. As far as my opinion, it's mostly remained the same since that video. Like I said, I'm personally not the biggest fan of AFK farming. In fact, the extent of my AFK farming was just the research that I did for that Necro video. For the most part, I have a lot of fun grinding this game normally, and so AFK farming doesn't really make sense to me, isn't really that fun for me. With that said, and maybe this is going to be a hot take, but I don't really judge people who want to AFK farm. As long as they're doing it without breaking TOS, then for me, I think it's okay. I'm sure people could argue with me about this till the cows come home. In fact, you can now do just that if you wish. I guess now's as good a time as any to announce my brand new Discord server. So if we take a look here, I've actually made quite a bunch of channels here for you guys. And there's this polls channel where I've started the first poll in my Discord, which is, do you like AFK farming? By the time this video goes live, the server should be open for everyone, and you can join directly through the link in the video description. Just make sure that when you do join, you select the Diablo Immortal role so you can actually see all of the Diablo Immortal channels. I've also created a bunch of other channels, like I said, and I can't wait to chat with you all there. So with that announcement out of the way, I wanted to do a quick exercise. Let's just put all of our opinions on AFK farming aside for a second and just talk about the facts.
See, I'm talking facts here. I don't do if, buts and maybes. I do absolutes.
Fact number one, AFK farming existed in the game for a while. In fact, people would go as far as to place a spoon on their phone and farm like that. And when the game first released, there was actually a poison fog feature where if your character stood completely still and attacked in the same place, they would eventually die to this poison fog mechanic. And this feature was actually removed by the developers for unknown reasons and was never mentioned or talked about in the patch notes. Fact number two, there's many essence in the game with passive effects and even summon skills that don't require the actual skill to be pressed, and you can farm without pressing any of your skills just by standing there with your character. And finally, I'm going to end with a bang. Fact number three, on the mobile version of the game, there is a built-in game setting where you can actually enable your character to auto-attack. You can find this in the interface setting. It's called the primary attack aim, and you can even adjust the delay of it. And I even recently learned that even on the PC version, you can actually also enable auto-attacking, and you do this by holding down your primary attack key and simply minimizing the game or putting it in the background, which last I checked isn't against the terms of service. So unless we see a major shift in the game or an official announcement from Blizzard, it's kind of clear to me that AFK farming is part of the game and it's here to stay. With those facts out of the way, I'm not going to dwell too much on the question of whether you should or shouldn't AFK farm. At the end of the day, that's a personal decision. The main question that I want to answer in today's video is it possible to AFK on the Druid? And the short answer to that is yes. Thanks for watching. Oh, you guys want an actual AFK farming build guide? Well, alright then, I guess we can go through it, but just before we start, I want to give a disclaimer. With how the Druid skills are currently set up and the essence that we have in the game, you will need to set up the auto attacks because a lot of the skills work from your primary attack, so you will have to kind of do your own research on that, how to make it work on the phone or on the PC. This is not going to be a guide that I'm going to do in this video. If you don't want to set up the primary auto attack, then unfortunately it's going to be pretty impossible for you to AFK with the Druid, so I would just stick to regular farming. Personally, I've already got a guide for a regular farm build for the Druid on my channel, and there's plenty of other good build guides on YouTube that you guys can follow. If we think of AFK farming, the first type of skills that come to mind for this are summons, which can't be killed, and also passive skills that don't require to be pressed to go off. So for the Druid, if we take a look at the skills here, we can see that there's actually 3 summon skills that the Druid uses. So we've got the Summon Grizzly, the Summon Oak Sage, and finally the Summon Wolves. So I tested all of these. First of all, for the Summon Grizzly, it's kind of unfortunate, but the Summon Grizzly, with all of the essence that we currently have, there's no way to make this one completely permanent. It always lasts for a specific amount of time. There is an essence that allows you to revive the bear if it dies, but you can only do this once per every time that you summon it. So honestly, after my testing, it's not really worth using this one for AFK farming. The next one is the Summon Oak Sage here. This is a pretty interesting one. So the base skill reads that it has an active ability. So active means that you have to press it to get the effect. So let's not even bother reading this. And then as far as the passive ability, let's take a quick read here. So this doesn't require you to press the skill for it to work. So it reads, summon 1 Oak Sage for every 3 primary attacks that hit an enemy, up to a maximum of 3 Oak Sages, each one fighting alongside you, and fires projectiles that deal X amount of damage. So this seems pretty good, but the problem with it is you'd have to press your primary attack to get the effect of it. So I actually did decide to use this one, and like I said, you will have to use the auto attacks. So the next one is the Summon Wolves, and this one is pretty good. So it also has an active ability and a passive ability. Let's just read the passive. So the passive says, summon 2 wolf companions to fight alongside you, dealing X amount of damage to enemies. If lost, wolf companions resummon after 6 seconds. And then for the fire wolf, the passive, summon 2 fire wolves to fight alongside with you, dealing X amount of damage and burning enemies. If lost, the fire wolves resummon. So basically, this has the same ability as the vanilla Summon Wolves, but it has even more damage. So this is why I decided to use the Summon Wolves. The main problem with the Wolves is, if I were to go next to the dummy here, the Wolves aren't really going to attack the target. The only way I can get them to attack the target or attack mobs is I'd have to start attacking it first. So unfortunately, unless you're using auto attacks, this one is kind of useless too. If I were to attack, then suddenly the wolves are going to start attacking, and that's fine. But if I'm completely AFK and not pressing my attack, then once the target dies, the wolves aren't going to keep attacking, unfortunately. As far as the last 2 skills that I'm using here, I'm using Fire Tornado and Thorn Armor. So for Fire Tornado, this is a really good one. If you use a specific helmet essence, you can see this one reads, Fire Tornado unleashes an explosion at a target location, dealing a huge amount of damage and causing enemies to burn. And the skill is casted automatically when you critically hit with a primary attack, consuming 1 charge and reducing the cooldown by 2 seconds. As long as you're doing critical hits with the primary attack, then this effect does quite a lot of damage. And then for the last skill that I'm using, if you haven't noticed, all of these 3 skills here, they generate quite a lot of primal power. So I decided that I wanted to actually have a primal power spender. And the one I decided to go for is the Thorn Armor here. So this is with the chest essence. So it says that Thorn Armor can now be toggled on and off. And while it's on, it consumes 5 primal power per second. And if you know about the other skill, which works like this, it's actually the Surging Stone. So this one doesn't need any essence to work. But the problem with this is that it requires 10 primal power per second. You can make it go down with the eternal effects, but I didn't want to focus on that in this build. And then finally, talking about the primary attack, this one is also very important because your Oak Sages work with primary attack, your Fire Tornado works with primary attack, and your Summon Wolves also works with primary attack. So I decided to pick Landslide just because of the main hand essence, which gives me the extra primary attack speed. As far as the essence and sets that I'm using, let's quickly go over those. So for the helmet essence, I'm using the Bonfire Crest, which I already explained how it works. It will make your Fire Tornado be able to be procced from the critical hits of your primary attack. Then I'm using the Flesh is Fertile Ground. So this is the one that makes your Thorn Armor toggle on and off. It costs 5 primal power per second. And then for the Shoulders Essence, you guys are already familiar with this essence. It's the Bargaze Beacon, which makes your Summon Wolves Flame Wolves. The next one is the Lightning Drape. You could honestly switch this out for something else, like the Pants Essence that heals you with the Summon Wolves if you want, but for now I went for the extra damage for the Summon Oaks. For the main hand essence, I'm using the Burn Socket. This one allows you to generate even more primal power for your Fire Tornado. And then for the second main hand essence here, I'm using the Staff of Droves. So this one will give you primary attack speed for your Landslide, and this can stack up to 3 times. So you're going to get something like 40% increased attack speed. For the offhand slots, I'm just using a random Summon Grizzly essence here. So both of these slots are completely dead. And the reason for that is there's nothing that really works here. So unfortunately, there are a few Summon Oak offhands that you can see here if you just filter by the Summon Oak. There's quite a few here, there's actually 3 of them, but all of them start with the line Summon Oak no longer passively summons and instead actively summons. So we're not looking for any active skills, and while some of these are really good, we're not looking to be pressing any skills ourselves, so none of these will do, unfortunately. For the set pieces, I went for 4 pieces of Banquet and 4 pieces of Vithu's Urge. You could honestly switch out the 4 pieces of Banquet if your critical hit chance is very high. I just decided to keep this just so I have maximum critical hit chance, and critical hit chance is very important, especially on your primary attacks, like I mentioned, because the Fire Tornado goes off depending on how many critical hits you're doing. So talking more about critical hit chance, for the gems that I'm using, I decided to use both Roiling and Mother's Lament. This is probably a bit overkill, but I just wanted to have a very high critical hit chance. Other than that, I'm just using a very basic setup with damage gems. Just go for whatever damage gems you have. I'm also going for Gloom Cask, but this isn't really required. Finally, for the Paragon tree, I decided to use the Vanquisher tree with the full Treasure Hunter setup. And for the legendary skill, I decided to use the Overloaded. You could honestly switch this out completely. If you're really struggling to survive, you could always go for the Brawler here. One thing that I realized about this build is that if there's not enough mob density, or if you're killing the mobs too fast, then unfortunately the Fire Tornado won't go off enough times and won't generate the Primal power, and then in that case your Thorn Armor will be toggled off. But in that case, I have another solution for this. So you could actually go to the Essence and switch out just the Chest Essence. Instead of this Thorn Armor one, you can go for a different Thorn Armor one. This one here, which reads that Thorn Armor now only shields you, and while active causes your attacks to scatter thorns, damaging nearby enemies, and this skill can also be triggered with the primary attack. So I decided to go for this one, just to be on the safe side. And then in this case, you won't have anything that actually consumes the primal power, but at the same time, you won't have to worry about your skills toggling off. So let's actually try this build out in a Terror Rift and see how it performs. So let's enter the Darkwood here. This is Inferno 7, which is the highest difficulty that I can currently do. First, we can try get into position here. So the area that I like to farm, I think it's somewhere around here. So the really good thing about this is that they've added the portal, which now doesn't get interrupted by the mobs when they hit you. So this is one of the best features that they've added to the game in recent memory. Honestly, I've been asking for this for so long. It was so annoying that you open a portal and then the mob hits you and it gets interrupted. So now we no longer have to worry about that, which is great. So let's just get into position here. And then all I have to do is actually just press my primary attack. I don't have to press any skills, and everything should be automatically done for me. So let's just make sure, okay, here, so you can see my Thorn Armor is already going off. So I'm just going to hold down the primary attack and actually put the game in the background. So there we go. The sound has gone off, and now you can see, if you just take a look, so my skills should trigger automatically. At least the Fire Tornado and the Thorn Armor are triggering automatically, and then the Wolves just do their thing. And as you can see, I'm also summoning the Oak Sages. I've got all of them around me here. While that goes on, I'm going to redeem a code that was released when the Druid released, which I actually forgot to do. So the code is Wild Nature, and I'm not sure what this actually gives you, so let's just try it now together. So I'm going to redeem this code here, redemption success, check your mail. So let's go ahead and check the mail real quick and see what we got. I'm not expecting this to be that good, so we only got 3 red crests, a set item, and some gold and scrap. It's not really the best, but whatever, we take it. So there we go. I just finished collecting all of the fragments, and as you can see, I did this with about 1.5 minutes remaining, so it did take me quite a while to actually finish this, just because I'm in the worst area, which is Darkwood, and I'm playing completely solo. I'm not sure how easy it will be to kill the bosses here. Actually, it's very easy to kill the bosses, as long as I hit them with the primary attack. Then I can actually finish this really quick. Let's try get as many of these spires done as we can with the time that we have left. Normally, if I have Darkwood showing up, I'm not even doing it with a normal build, so I don't know why I bothered doing this with an AFK build on the video, but it is what it is, I guess. The build is actually very stable, and the whole time I was watching it, I didn't lose any health whatsoever, so that's really good. I don't think I'm going to get another spire here. Let's just try really quickly. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work, but let's just see. Can I get this one before it ends? No, I can't. Okay, but anyway, that's completely fine. Just for the video, I don't mind wasting one of my terrorists for the week. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to show for this one, guys. So is AFK farming possible for the Druid? Yes, it absolutely is, as long as you're bothered to set up the auto attack, because a lot of skills do go off with the primary attack. If you can't set it up, then it's not really worth AFK farming. It's not going to work for you. And either way, if you ask me if I would recommend AFK farming, I would say definitely not, but it's completely up to you. I just wanted to cover this video because it's one of the most common questions, and even if I don't like the specific strategy or farming method, I will cover it if the community asks for it. So here's the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'm going to catch you all in the next video, and I hope to catch you all in my Discord. I'm looking forward to chat with each and every one of you. Peace.